This is Jay Michaels. And very recently, my buddy Walter contacted me and said, there's a show running on Theater Row. Okay, right there, he had my attention because Theater Row, I think, is one of the finest theatrical areas left in New York that really still carries the word of the American theater aptly. He said, I have a show happening, a one woman show. I was like, oh, how very interesting. And then he said a name. He said Lynn Shaye. And I said, you're kidding. And then he told me that she's doing an autobiographical one woman piece on Theater Row. And would I like to speak to her? Well, he didn't finish the sentence before I said yes and already sent my calendar to have that done. So I am thrilled to introduce you all to Lynn Shaye. Lynn, it is a real pleasure to meet you at this moment.
Thank
How
you.
are
What a
you?
beautiful introduction. Could you say it a couple more times before we start? No, it's all
Gladly, if I
good.
if I can remember it.
Really?
Now, I've given the Reader's Digest version here. This is an autobiographical piece about the tumultuous '60s. Now we're living in a time period that's reminiscent in some way. We've had catastrophes, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's George Floyd, whether there's so much going on that has made the world say, "Okay, I've had enough. Let's change things." Now, when we look at time periods where that was pungent, the '60s is the first choice of our lifetimes. Why'd you do it? Why? Tell us about the show first, and then why did you do it?
Um, I have sometimes I don't really know why. I just know I am an artist of sorts in the way I think about life. I mean, I'm always looking for themes and creation, creative moments, both as an actress and it just kind of in everything I do, the way I cook, the way just kind of the way I live my lifestyle. And I just started writing, and I write little snippets, I write little, not really poems, but I'll just jot stuff down and find it later and think, oh, that would be cool in a story or something. So I dabble in writing, although I've never really, I've never published anything of note. I've had a couple small things put in magazines or whatever, um, but this was just it's really about a moment of my life in the '60s that is sort of embraced by the '60s, and it was a life-changing moment. Um, and I think I just started to write about it. And I wrote like 10 pages. And I thought I wrote it as a short film. I mean, actually, I started out and I thought, okay, how am I going to raise money even for 10 pages? And who do I talk to? And how do I even begin this process? So, so I thought, well, maybe it's not a movie. Maybe it could be a book. I didn't know. I just felt it could be something because I felt the information was personal, but also very kind of worldly for other people to look into their lives and see what their moment was at a certain period in their time in their life that changed everything. Because we all have one, I think. It's certainly not the one I had, but and maybe for some people it was. But anyway, so I wrote these 10 pages, and every year or so I'd pull it out and read it to somebody. And they go, oh, yeah, that's nice. I say, okay, whatever. And my manager, Gina Rugolo, has a friend whose name is Robert Galinsky, and he does these one-man shows. He's a one-man band. I mean, he's one of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. He teaches acting at Rikers Island to prisoners and goes into these and schools, and he has an outreach of urging people to communicate with their emotions about life, whether it's theater or whether it's to each other. I mean, he's really a remarkable person. And he does these one-man shows based on his life. And they're funny, and he's kind of I call him kind of I call him a beatnik entrepreneur. He's kind of got that beat quality. He's a very energetic and imaginative person. So I'd seen one of his shows, and Gina was going to go to see another one. She said, "Do you want to go?" I wasn't. I was tired. I wasn't going to go. It was not very long ago. It was about less than a year ago. So I thought, well, I should go because Robert supports me. I support him. So after the show, it just was like a light bulb went on. I thought, he's the guy I should show this piece to. So I sent him the 10 pages. He immediately got back to me. He said, "Let's do it."
Wow.
So there, right there, is like an attitude that I would like to just devour. I mean, there's something about let's go, not, well, it's, there's all these people. Well, if we do it this, then that's going to happen, and it's always the naysayers, and so nothing ever happens. Robert is a let's go guy, and I love him forever for that. And so he said, keep writing. So he said, just keep writing, just go back into it, just start writing. So lo and behold, I now have, it's about 35 pages. And it's a story that has, that as I kept writing, it kept flowering, and it got very funny, which I wasn't expecting. And the moment that this one big moment, which I really won't talk too much about because that is sort of the core of the piece in a way.
I was going to ask you if you can, without doing a spoiler, because you've whet
Yeah,
my
I can.
curiosity for
It
sure.
was I was married, and I had an event that happened to my husband that was completely out of character with everything else in my life that I'd ever experienced, and it changed my life. I mean, it's like having to deal, and that's what I mean. I think we all have moments like that in our life that you aren't expecting. It has to do with the unexpected, because we all go along a little yellow brick road. I mean, we all have one, and you like it there, to go off the road. I don't know what's behind the tree, and sometimes you get pushed off the road. And
Right.
you better get ready for what's behind the tree,
Yeah.
because the tree's not going away. So so kind of metaphorically like that, I kept writing, and we kept reading this. I guess he said it was less than a year ago, and we would have Zoom calls. I mean, it's pandemic, there's no way to get together anyway. And I grew into this piece. It's like it became more and more a part of me, even though I'd written it. And I'm an actress, and so the way I present it is it's really telling a story. I'm actually reading part of a story. I have a story right here, and I start
Ah,
the show by saying, "Here it is. This is it." And I of course, I mean, I don't sit there like this and read it, but
wow.
it's part of the device of the piece. And there's no fancy anything. It's just telling a story. And because I'm an actress, of course, I act out all the roles. So I become my mother, I become my father, I become my brother,
Oh,
I become Marshall, I am myself at 22 years old, and so it's very theatrical, and I enjoy doing it so much. I've only done it a handful of times here in California, and people said that would be a great off-Broadway show in New York because it's contained. You don't have to worry about big sets or wardrobe and other people. It's just you and a good sound system. So my son designed the sound and the music, which is just wonderful. And incidental, it's really, I'm so excited about it because for many reasons, but the first one being, I think I really have something that will feel like a line from Kingpin. You really jar something loose, Tiger. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about Kingpin. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the lady. And
you're quoting academically, so there
I'm
you go.
quoting academically correctly. But there's something that really moved people. And I was surprised in a certain kind of way and thrilled, to say the least. So we are
Very good.
sort of executive producing. I'm figuring this whole thing out. I've never done anything like this. And right now I'm exhausted from putting all the pieces together. I'm really excited. I leave for New York on Monday, this coming Monday, so a
Oh,
week
that's
from
great.
yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm staying at my brother's apartment. I've got a place to stay. And Galinsky found the theater on Theater Row, one of these beautiful new theaters, 99-seat house. We have the designer from a very important designer from the 60s is doing our lighting design. So that's going to be, he joined in the group, and I'm very excited about
Well,
that.
well, that's apropos. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. So all the pieces sort of started coming together. So I'm talking a lot here, but as you can see, I'm clearly very excited. And I probably didn't even answer your question. So,
You completely answered my question. Now,
okay.
you've sparked another one. Now, either I have to correct your grammar, or I'm wondering why. Half of your thing is in past tense, as if we're doing this, it's done, And the other half, you keep saying, I now have 35 pages and I'm growing into the role. Is this place still growing? Is it, what's the expression? Is it frozen
No,
or is it still breathing? Is it still growing?
it's still growing, I think. I mean, I wanted to have a containment. I don't want to just be a rambling. I'm not a rambler either. There's a very specific framework for this. It does have a beginning, a middle, and an end, which can continue. I mean, that's sort of the format. Um, I don't really know the answers 100%. I know what we've created to present in New York. I'm very happy with the starting and stopping point there. And it's not like I have the desire to turn this into something bigger. I wrote it as a movie. I would love if that could ever happen. It would need to be redesigned, of course, because now it's been designed for what I'm doing for a one-woman show. But I think there's infinite possibilities with this.
Oh,
So, and the framework, it will remain the same, but the juice on the inside is still percolating.
oh, that's great. That's good. Okay, you're saying Theater Row, so we know that's 42nd Street between Ninth and 10th.
Yep, I got it written down right here.
Thank you. I was going to say, tell us how we can get tickets. Where can we go? When do we go?
Okay, preview starts September 8th and the show opens on September 18th. It's a Theater Row, which is 410 West 42nd Street. And for information and for tickets, the website is trippingonlifetheplay.com. And there's no, it's just all one word,
Yeah, yeah,
TRIPPINGTHONLIFE.
yeah.
So, and you can get tickets there, and we have, there will be a meet and greet possibly after. I'm just so, also I started out in theater, and here I am going back to my roots, and I love performing on stage. There's nothing like it. Nothing, nothing, nothing. No MOVIE, nothing. There's nothing like that experience of that energy. You walk in, it gives me chills to talk about it. When you can hear it backstage. That was always my favorite part. You'd hear the audience come in and you hear rah, 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 rah. People, people are laughing, they're sort of chatting to each other. And your heart starts pounding and the adrenaline starts pumping, and suddenly you don't know where you are and what's happening, and then phew, it comes back. I'm standing backstage and I'm about to do my show.
And the joy is it keeps coming back.
Yeah,
You
it
do a
keeps
movie,
coming.
it's done. You can watch it 1,000 times. It's not rolling. But every night that curtain goes up and
Yeah,
there's
and
more
that heart,
brooding.
there's nothing like it. I love, 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 love live theater, and
Gorgeous.
it's really still my first love. So I'll give you everything I got.
And folks, you're going to enjoy this. Go to live theater. Go to see Lin Shaye talk about Lin Shaye live on stage at New York's bastion of independent art, Theater Row.
It's not just Lin Shaye's. Lin Shaye is a hippie. 1968.
19. Oh,
Yeah, don't forget that part.
I'm going to refrain from nodding like I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That'll age myself. But yeah, can't wait. Can't wait. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
Oh, you too. You've been just lovely to talk to. Thank you to the audience too. Go see it if you're around New York, and who knows what lies ahead. Stay healthy.
Thanks.